In the heart of Maplewood, a picturesque suburban neighborhood, the sun cast a warm glow over neatly trimmed lawns and charming homes. The streets were lined with tall oak trees, their leaves rustling gently in the breeze. Families often gathered in their yards, enjoying friendly conversations and laughter that echoed through the peaceful community. At the center of this idyllic setting stood the Maplewood Homeowners Association, HOA, tasked with upholding the neighborhood's rules and standards. The HOA ensured that everyone maintained their property to create a harmonious living environment. They enforced guidelines about paint colors, fence heights, and even landscaping choices, believing these rules preserved the charm and value of the neighborhood. However, not everyone appreciated this oversight. Some residents felt stifled by the strict regulations, leading to tension and disputes. Among those was Karen, a fervent member of the HOA board who took her role very seriously. She believed it was her duty to uphold rules at any cost, often taking things too far. Little did she know that her actions would soon spiral into a conflict that would shake Maplewood to its core. Karen Thompson was not just any HOA board member, she was a force to be reckoned with in Maplewood. Known for her sharp tongue and unwavering dedication to the rules, she patrolled the neighborhood like a hawk, always on the lookout for violations. Whether it was a lawn that needed mowing or a fence painted the wrong shade of beige, Karen took it upon herself to address every infraction, often with little regard for the feelings of her neighbors. Her reputation as the rule enforcer spread throughout the community, earning her both respect and resentment. Some residents admired her commitment to maintaining order, while others found her meddling intrusive and overbearing. Disputes with neighbors became common, leading to heated meetings where Karen would passionately argue her points, leaving little room for compromise. Despite her strict demeanor, Karen believed she was acting in the best interest of Maplewood. She envisioned a perfect neighborhood where everyone followed the rules without question. However, this rigid mindset often blinded her to the consequences of her actions. Little did she know that her next move would push her into uncharted territory, sparking a chain of events that would change everything. Karen's sights soon fell on a new target, Mr. Thompson, a resident whose vibrant garden of wildflowers clashed with the HOA's strict guidelines. While many neighbors admired his colorful displays, Karen saw them as a blatant violation of the landscaping rules that dictated muted colors and uniform designs. This was not just about flowers, for Karen, it was a matter of principle. Having had her fill of what she considered rule-breaking behavior, she decided it was time to take action. In her mind, she envisioned a perfect neighborhood where every resident followed the rules, and Mr. Thompson's garden was a glaring exception. She began to gather evidence, taking photos of his garden from various angles and noting every perceived infraction. Karen couldn't shake off the feeling that Mr. Thompson might also be undermining her authority by hosting neighborhood gatherings, where many residents praised his relaxed approach to living. This fueled her determination further. In her mind, he had become the embodiment of everything she stood against. Fueled by frustration and a sense of duty, Karen plotted to confront him in a way that would ensure compliance. She would force him out of Maplewood once and for all. As Karen's frustration grew, so did her determination to act decisively against Mr. Thompson. She began to craft an elaborate plan that would intimidate him into leaving Maplewood for good. In her mind, the rules had to be enforced with an iron fist, and she believed that hiring imposters posing as police officers would send a strong message. Karen reached out to two locals who she knew were struggling to find work and convinced them to dress up in fake police uniforms. She promised them a small payment for their services, explaining that they needed to help her deliver an eviction notice to Mr. Thompson. The scheme sounded simple: the imposters would show up at his door, claiming that his garden was a serious legal violation and that he must vacate immediately. Feeling empowered by her plan, Karen envisioned how satisfying it would be to watch Mr. Thompson squirm under the pressure. She believed this drastic action would finally restore order to Maplewood and reinforce her authority as the HOA's enforcer. Little did she know that her scheme was about to backfire in ways she could never have imagined. On a crisp afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky, the two imposters arrived at Mr. Thompson's house, their demeanor exuding a false sense of authority. Clad in well-tailored police uniforms, complete with badges and shiny black shoes, they looked every bit the part. The uniforms had been carefully selected to ensure they appeared credible, down to the official-looking patches that could easily deceive the unsuspecting local. They approached the front door with purpose, exchanging glances that signaled their readiness to play their roles. One of them knocked firmly on the door, while the other stood slightly off to the side, arms crossed, projecting an image of intimidating confidence. As Mr. Thompson opened the door, a rush of unease filled the air. He couldn't have predicted what was about to unfold. The imposters introduced themselves with stern expressions, claiming they were there to serve an official eviction notice related to his supposedly illegal garden. Their authoritative tone made it clear that they intended to intimidate him into compliance. Unbeknownst to them, Mr. Thompson remained calm and collected, all while secretly assessing the situation, ready to uncover the truth behind their facade. As Mr. Thompson opened the door, confusion washed over him at the sight of the two officers. Their stern expressions and authoritative presence seemed out of place in the friendly neighborhood he knew so well. He listened as they introduced themselves and began to explain the reason for their visit. A mix of concern and disbelief churned in his stomach. He couldn't fathom how a simple garden could lead to such drastic measures. Despite his initial surprise, Mr. Thompson maintained a calm demeanor. He knew better than to react impulsively, especially when confronted by figures of supposed authority. Instead, he carefully assessed the situation, noticing subtle details about the imposters' uniforms that didn't quite add up. The badges were shiny but lacked the usual insignia of the local police department. With a steady voice, Mr. Thompson asked clarifying questions, trying to gauge their intentions while keeping his emotions in check. As they spoke, he felt a growing sense of determination. This wasn't just an attack on his garden, it was an assault on his rights. Sensing something was off, he resolved to uncover the truth behind their claims and defend himself against this blatant intimidation. As Mr. Thompson stood facing the imposters, a flicker of recognition crossed his mind. This wasn't just a simple case of harassment over his garden, it was something much bigger. Unknown to Karen and her hired goons, he was not merely a resident but an undercover FBI agent assigned to investigate local scams, including fraudulent activities within homeowners associations. For months, he had been gathering evidence of corruption and intimidation tactics employed by various HOA members in Maplewood, including Karen herself. The vibrant garden that had drawn her ire was not just an eyesore for her, it was part of Mr. Thompson's cover, a way for him to blend into the community while he worked. As the imposters continued their threats, Mr. Thompson's mind raced with thoughts of the investigation. He realized this confrontation could be the turning point he needed to expose Karen and her illegal tactics once and for all. With renewed determination, he decided to play along for now, carefully considering how to turn this situation back on Karen, using her own scheme against her and ensuring that justice would prevail in Maplewood. As the imposters continued their intimidating act, Mr. Thompson's mind raced with strategies. He recognized this confrontation was a pivotal moment in his investigation. With a calm demeanor masking the urgency of his thoughts, he focused on gathering evidence that could expose both the imposters and Karen. He subtly observed their behavior, noting their body language and the way they interacted with him. While they threatened eviction, he made mental notes of their inconsistent claims and clipped answers. Every second counted, and he needed to remember their faces for potential identification later. He casually reached for his phone, feigning a casual interest in a text message while discreetly recording their conversation. Mr. Thompson also scanned the area for any surveillance cameras that might capture the event. He hoped to use any footage as proof of the attempted intimidation. Every detail mattered, their uniforms, the badges, and even the car parked nearby that served as their getaway vehicle. With renewed determination, Mr. Thompson realized this was more than just about defending his rights, it was about unraveling a web of deceit that could save future residents from such bullying tactics, including those employed by Karen herself. Once the imposters left, Mr. Thompson wasted no time in contacting his colleagues at the FBI. He quickly dialed the number of his partner, Agent Ramirez, who had been assisting him with the investigation into recent HOA-related frauds. After a brief but urgent conversation, Agent Ramirez agreed to meet at a secure location to discuss the situation further. Feeling a surge of adrenaline, Mr. Thompson began formulating a plan to catch Karen in the act of her wrongdoing. He shared the details of the imposter's visit, emphasizing the need for careful coordination to ensure they gathered undeniable evidence against her. Together, they quickly outlined a strategy. They would set up surveillance on Karen and the imposters to document any further illegal activity. The next day, Mr. Thompson and Agent Ramirez positioned themselves nearby as Karen conducted another HOA meeting, where she often boasted about her enforcement tactics. They monitored her interactions with residents, capturing conversations that hinted at her ongoing scheming. With each passing moment, Mr. Thompson felt more confident that they would soon have enough evidence to expose Karen's deceitful practices, ensuring that justice would prevail in Maplewood once and for all. The tension in the air was palpable as Mr. Thompson and Agent Ramirez watched from a distance, their eyes fixed on Karen and her imposters. The plan was in motion, and they were ready to catch her in the act. Karen had arranged another confrontation with Mr. Thompson, believing that her authority would finally force him out of Maplewood. She strode confidently towards his house with the imposters flanking her, ready to deliver yet another intimidation tactic. As they approached, Mr. Thompson stood firm at his door, appearing relaxed but fully aware of the stakes. He could see Karen's determined expression as she gestured towards the imposters, preparing to unleash her threats once again. Just as she raised her voice to assert her power over him, a squad car pulled up, lights flashing and sirens blaring. The arrival of real law enforcement caught everyone off guard. Officers stepped out, ready to address the situation head-on. Mr. Thompson's heart raced with a mix of relief and anticipation as he realized the moment had finally arrived. The imposters froze in confusion while Karen's expression shifted from confidence to disbelief, realizing she had been caught red-handed in her scheme. It was time for justice to unfold in Maplewood. The moment the real officers stepped forward, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Karen's confidence crumbled as she realized the gravity of the situation before her. As law enforcement approached, she stammered, trying to protest her innocence, but the officers swiftly placed her in handcuffs. The shock on her face was evident. She couldn't comprehend how her authority had disintegrated so quickly. Nearby residents who had gathered to witness the unfolding drama reacted with a mixture of disbelief and relief. For years, many had felt oppressed by Karen's overbearing enforcement of HOA rules, and now they saw her true colors exposed. Whispers spread among neighbors as they shared their stories of intimidation and bullying at the hands of Karen and her fraudulent tactics. As she was led away, some residents cheered quietly, feeling newfound hope that justice would be served in their community. Others expressed concern for what might come next, but the prevailing sentiment was one of empowerment. They felt liberated from Karen's control. With her arrest, it seemed the dark cloud that had hung over Maplewood for so long was finally beginning to lift, leaving room for a brighter future. The arrest of Karen sent ripples through the Maplewood community, prompting residents to gather and discuss the implications of her actions. For years, many had felt suffocated under her strict enforcement of HOA rules, and now they were eager to address the culture of fear that had developed. In the days following the incident, neighbors convened in small groups at parks and coffee shops, sharing their stories and experiences with Karen's overbearing methods. The discussions highlighted a growing desire for transparency and accountability within the HOA. Many residents questioned existing rules and voiced the need for more balanced regulation that considered individual freedom while still maintaining community standards. Recognizing that fear can lead to injustice, they began to consider forming a committee focused on revising HOA policies to ensure fairness and inclusivity. Residents even discussed creating a platform for open communication between members, allowing concerns to be raised without fear of repercussion. This collective momentum was a turning point for Maplewood, fostering a sense of unity among neighbors who were previously divided by Karen's oppressive rule. As they worked toward a more equitable system, there was a renewed sense of hope that the neighborhood could become a better place for everyone. In the aftermath of Karen's arrest, Mr. Thompson reflected on the events that had unfolded in Maplewood. He recognized the importance of standing up against bullying behavior, which often thrives in silence and fear. His experience as an undercover agent taught him that every resident has the right to feel safe and respected in their own community, regardless of how seemingly trivial a violation might appear. Mr. Thompson felt a renewed sense of responsibility to educate others about their rights and empower them to speak up against intimidation. He understood that communities thrive when citizens are encouraged to share their concerns openly, fostering an environment of trust and support. As discussions continued among neighbors regarding the need for fair HOA regulations, he expressed his commitment to advocate for change. He envisioned forming workshops where residents could learn about their rights and how to engage constructively with local governance. The lesson was clear: by uniting against oppressive behavior and holding individuals accountable, Maplewood could transform into a community where everyone felt valued and heard. With hope in his heart, Mr. Thompson was determined to ensure that the new chapter for Maplewood would prioritize kindness, respect, and inclusivity for all its residents.